Well, let's get an update on the business for you now. Kate Moody is back with us. Hi there, Kate. We're going back to the United States. Donald Trump has named yet another controversial nominee to fill a vacant post. This time it's head of the World Bank.
That's right. He selected David Malpass to replace former President Jim Yong Kim, who stepped down suddenly in January. Now, Malpass currently serves as the Treasury Department's top diplomat. He is a longtime Trump supporter who has vocally criticized the World Bank in the past, saying the development organization should curb its lending to China and rein in its financial reach. He was more conciliatory as he was nominated, though, vowing to work with the administration on issues including women's empowerment. Take a listen.
I know Ivanka has been a strong leader on women's economic empowerment, and I look forward to continuing our work together on her Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative. Mr. President, I'm very optimistic that we can achieve breakthroughs to create growth abroad that will help us combat extreme poverty and increase economic opportunities in the developing world.
Reference to the president's daughter there, Ivanka Trump, whose name had once been floated by Washington insiders as being a possible replacement candidate for that position. Now, this nomination cycle was already likely to spark controversy. Since the institutions were founded, the World Bank has always been led by an American and the International Monetary Fund by a European. Developing economies have criticized the process and made a push to be more included in the organizations that serve them. The nomination must now be approved by the World Bank's directors. Other member states are likely to put forward their own candidates in competition with the American. The European Union announced it would block a proposed merger between France's Alstom and Germany's Siemens. Siemens shares dropped in Frankfurt, but Alstom shares rose 4%. The thinking is that the French company may now be able to shop for another deal with more advantageous terms. Analysts at Berenberg Bank, for example, upgraded Alstom to a buy rating and suggested it could now seek a tie-up with the transport division of Canada's Bombardier, which would have a better chance of approval here in Europe. Well, the political reaction was more downbeat, with both the French and German governments saying the veto would make European businesses less competitive on the global stage. Luke Schrager reports.
It could have been a European rail giant to match the continent's global leader of the skies, Airbus, but a Brussels veto on the Alstom-Siemens merger left fury mounting in Berlin and Paris.
The Commission's decision is a bad one, a bad blow to European industry, and it seems to have been made on bad grounds. I have long been utterly convinced that the future of French industry lies within a unified European framework.
The EU's concern was that other European competition would be edged out by the new Franco-German giant. Neither company should struggle in the short term, though both may already be looking for potential new partners.
The rejection will have little impact because jobs are still guaranteed, in particular when it comes to orders that have already been made with Alstom. The question's more over the long term, because Alstom on its own, without an alliance with Siemens, may not be able to resist global competition.
Competition like the China Railroad Rolling Stock Corporation, the world's largest train manufacturer, which has its sights set on European markets. The merger had been meant to go toe-to-toe with the CRRC, and both the French and German economy ministers are in lockstep over what to do next.
We are convinced that we must consider and decide on future changes to European competition law that make it possible for Europe to shape future developments in this area on an equal basis with its competitors in other regions.
The EU decided late last year further controls on foreign investment into the bloc's strategic sectors were needed, though when it comes to competition regulations, it seems two distinct sides are now digging in.
Let's check in on the day's trading action now. Fairly muted close for the major European indices, ending the day just under the flat line there. The Frankfurt DAX was pulled down by new data showing a drop in exports from Europe's largest economy. Wall Street's also trending down. The S&P 500 is on track to end a 5-day winning streak there. The Nasdaq down nearly half a percentage point this hour. Disney shares are also trading down slightly, despite having reported better than expected earnings for the last quarter. Moving on to some of the day's other business headlines now. General Motors shares are up 1.5% as the American car giant reported better than expected earnings as its turnaround plan takes effect. Fourth quarter revenue jumped to $38.4 billion, boosted by strong sales of pickup trucks. The auto giant is in the process of cutting 14,000 jobs as it tries to cut costs and become more competitive. Apple's head of retail is to leave the company after 5 years. Angela Ahrendts was previously head of British fashion brand Burberry, and she's overseen an overhaul and expansion of Apple's more than 500 shops around the world. Her departure comes as the tech giant grapples with slowing demand for its flagship product, the iPhone. And the French bank BNP Paribas is planning to cut another 600 million euros in costs after posting weak results for the last 3 months of 2018. That's on top of savings of almost 3 billion, which were already planned by 2020. Revenue at the bank fell by 1.5% for 2018, mostly hit by a fall in earnings at its investment bank unit. Now, with political pressure rising on all sides, Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro seems to be loosening some restrictions on the country's currency. The official exchange rate of US dollars to bolivars has become more attractive than the black market rate and has led to queues outside authorized exchange points. Analysts say it's likely an effort to boost the government's supply of hard currency, specifically US dollars, and that years of currency controls have contributed to the runaway inflation rate, which has left much of the population struggling to survive. Many Venezuelans, though, said they were still anxious to take advantage of that new exchange rate. Take a listen.
The currency exchange offices have begun to open. We've begun to see lines of people trying to exchange currency because the rate is so much more favorable. Just like paying with foreign credit cards, which was unthinkable. We're now seeing it in some places, shopping centers, supermarkets, etc.
Now they're buying with the current rate of 2,900 bolivars for each dollar, which is close to today's black market rate. It's a little higher, but the important thing is to get the cash.
There you go, another developing situation in Venezuela. Rather paradoxical, of course, but important to keep an eye on, Laura.
Absolutely. All right, Kate, thank you very much indeed. Kate Moody there with the business. We're going to take a short break. Don't go away, much more for you right after.